Good morning, Misfits. It is Maha Monday on The Daily Breakdown. I am your host, Misfit Patriot, aka Zach Bonfilio. I just did that backwards. Welcome to the LFA family. We got Family Low, Hopes, River Rat, Funmon, Bumba, MD, USMC, Ms. Mocha Powered, Columbus, Great Guy Gary, Samuel, Amanda Collins, Eden, and Ali Jimenez. How's everybody doing today? Okie dokie. So it is roll call. It's Thune. All right, if you guys don't get that reference, you are too young for this show. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of the best movies ever. Let me turn my. I'm like screaming in my microphone here. Yeah, I always have audio issues when we got a guest coming on because for some reason when I use the video that it's basically like Zoom, right? So when I connect the virtual camera, it turns my volume way down. So we always seem to have issues. So if my audio is not coming in, if it's too low or too high, let me know. I think it seems like it's probably a little high. Let's try that. I think that might be better. Yeah, I think that's the sweet spot. That sounds like the sweet spot because it was a little cracky. It was a little crackly. I think that's perfect. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So we got Alex Duncan coming on. Speaking of guests, he will be here in about 15-20 minutes, and we're going to talk Patriot Pouch. I've been trying to get Alex on forever. He is the CEO of Patriot Pouch, our only real sponsor. We have affiliates. We have all of our affiliates up here. But Alex decided to actually sponsor this show, which is why we have the Patriot Pouch ads on Mondays usually. So I'm really excited to talk to him about Patriot Pouch and how Nixidine is different from nicotine. And he's a really smart guy, really great guy. And we're going to also get into some other stuff, some new stuff with him. So it's going to be a good show. And as far as the roll call, the thumbnail, there's some movement, and I don't want to get people too excited, right? But nobody has done more to try to pressure Congress to pass the Save America Act than, I mean, I would say besides Trump, than Scott Presler. All right, he's been diligent, ruthless. He has been on it. And so he posted this yesterday. We need one brave senator to force a roll call vote in order for the Senate to vote on leaving for a 37-day paid vacation for August recess. We need one senator to object to unanimous consent and ask for the yeas and nays. And Mike Lee, who is awesome, he came out and he goes, yeah, sure, I'm in. So, Leader Thune, I hereby object to any effort to put the Senate into recess in August, at least until such time as the Senate has passed the Save America Act, and hereby request a roll call vote. Do not assume you have my consent. You do not. So, Zach looks very smart on that thumbnail. It bothers me to no end how this current Senate and House and just government in general works, right? Because as I've said many times, okay, the way this country is supposed to work, the way this government is supposed to work is representative government, okay? Like, so you elect a representative to go and represent you, right? Not them, not what they want, what you want, right? Their job is to represent the will of the people, right? It's very simple. The will of the people with the Save America Act it's an 80-20 issue overall. It's a 90-10 issue on the right. So when we have a majority in the Senate, this shouldn't be a problem. But like Thune basically is just blaming the filibuster and blaming the fact that, so the way the zombie filibuster works is, if you guys aren't aware, and by the way, this isn't constitutional. This should be We should nuke the filibuster. But it went from a simple majority to now apparently we need 60 votes in order to pretty much pass anything, right? So that means that 10 Democrats would have to, well, not 10, I think 7 would have to join in with Republicans in order to pass anything, which is ridiculous, right? Because what's the point of having a majority? There's no point in having a majority if you have the filibuster. I used to think that the filibuster was actually like a necessary safeguard to prevent like Democrats from abusing their authority, but they're going to do that no matter what. And if we don't do it, if we don't nuke the filibuster and bring us back to a simple majority vote, then when they do it, they're going to abuse their authority. So why not just do it first? So absent of nuking the filibuster, there is I guess there's a way to pass this with a simple majority under like continuing resolution. The House, I will give credit to the House who keeps on sending different ways to pass the Save America Act to the Senate. But Leader Thune is the problem. Leader Thune is not a leader. He's not doing his job of getting his party in line to pass an 80-20, 90-10 actually, because it's on our side issue. So yeah, it does. It bothers me when our representatives aren't representing us. I think that the best way to handle that is to primary them, which we did an amazing job this year. Right? Like this year's primary really was spectacular. The amount of people that we got out and in seems very promising, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't win in November. That's the bottom line. If we don't win in November, it's useless. So I'm going to give you guys a little reminder. We have this midterm cheat sheet. I wonder if we added anybody to it. 113. Hell yeah, dog. All right, how many states we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. If you guys haven't seen me talk about this, this is Sway. It's sway.co/misfits. You can find it with the beacons link in my bio. I'll be going to my social media, or you can go to midtermcheatsheet.com. This is a website I put together, which I was supposed to update this weekend, and I didn't. My bad. If you go to midtermcheatsheet.com and click join Sway, you can find it there as well. Now, what Sway does is it gives me the ability to message people in districts and in certain areas to get out the vote. It's really just a messaging app, right? So when you join my Sway, my Misfits midterm cheat sheet, the Misfit Army, and then when there's elections coming up or when there's things that I think I need to send out, I will either email or text you. It's really that simple. It's nothing crazy, but if we build this large enough, we can get out the vote on our own. Because if we don't pass the Save America Act, I think what we're looking at is we have to rely on too big to rig. It's going to be the only way to win. I think that the fraud and the election fraud is still there. I think that the Trump administration has done a lot to knock it down or put a focus on it, but it's still there. It's still very prevalent, especially in Democrat districts. I mean, you saw what they just did to Spencer Pratt in California, right? Where he was like number 2, and then all of a sudden they counted the votes over the course of like, I don't know, a week or so, and he just got bumped right down. Same thing they did in the 2020 election. I don't care who wants to try to call me a conspiracy theorist. The election was stolen. Elections are stolen. I don't like to go and say that every election we lose is stolen, but especially in these places where it's like deep blue, they're stolen. Like Kari Lake's election was stolen. Katie Hobbs did not win, in my opinion. I think that even Fetterman, right, in Pennsylvania, we have certain states that just have too much election fraud, and they're coincidentally swing states mostly. So I hope this works, but I'm still not optimistic. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to give false hope on it, but at the same time, if this doesn't go through, too big to rig. All right. So not all is lost if the Save America Act doesn't pass. We won in 2024 by making it too big to rig. That's all you have to do again. But we'll see how this goes. Like I said, I just I don't get it. I don't get it. Like Thune is just a coward. He really is. He has no spine. He's not like Nancy Pelosi where he will, you know, make some type of offer to one of his like, "Hey, I'll put you on a committee or something like that. I need your vote." He just doesn't do anything. And it's also kind of messed up how they keep on going on vacation. It's like I think that the Senate works less than public school teachers. Like they really get they get so much time off, and we're gonna have to change that. We got to just keep on electing new people in primaries, and hopefully over time we can fix this broken system. Okay, so I was on Sid and Friends this morning, and it was a great time. So I'm not going to play the whole clip. Obviously, it's 13 minutes, but I want to show you a little part of this. Let's see here.
Show on
That sounds really low, but give me a sec. I think it was because he's an action. You said so. People are going after Sid Rosenberg because he went on Fox and Friends and called Mamdani a terrorist. I think that was generous. Like I think that I think that he could have gone even further than that. So I think this is the clip. It's socialist because the oh yeah, that's really low. Hold on one sec, guys. When they started putting. All right, let's try this. Putting in colleges, and then those socialists are the first ones that were, wiped out as just like every other time authoritarians come in. Sorry, hold on. Idiots. So he's been really successful at pushing. Technical difficulties. Uno momento. We got this. We got this. We're going to go. Boom. All right. Now it should work. You said. There's nothing wrong with what you said.
Thank you. That is what I said.
Republic of Sprska and 2, which is complete annihilation for total surrender, is hey, who's one of our greatest allies right now? Japan. You know why? We bombed them. I mean, it's not a crazy thing to say that the best way to stop this war with an ideological death cult is to annihilate them until they surrender. That's what you said. There's nothing wrong with what you said.
Thank you. That is what I said. Of course, they twisted it. They said that I want Americans to die. I want boots on the ground in massive numbers. I didn't say that. In fact, I said I'd love to win this without it. I'm not Jack Keane. Let's get to Mamdani. You're in San Antonio, Texas, misfit patriot, but you're all over this guy. You heard what I said about him on Saturday. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it was very tame, you just calling him a terrorist, right? Because I think that we can take it a step further, right? Mamdani is the living, breathing, walking embodiment of the Red-Green Alliance. If you guys don't remember how the Ayatollah came into power, they would... the radical Islamists would use useful idiot socialists because Iran was becoming more and more progressive when they started putting in colleges. And then... those socialists are the first ones that were, wiped out as just like every other time authoritarians come in, the useful idiots. So he's been really successful at pushing this democratic socialism, but it's not democratic socialism. It is Islamo-Marxism, and people need to understand that it is just socialism wrapped up in this promise of free stuff. But what happens when you run out of other people's money? That's what's going to happen. And a socialist would probably take it a little bit slower, but Mamdani, he just called for the arrest of a world leader based on a fake criminal court. I mean, it might as well be the Court of Narnia, the International Criminal Court. It doesn't. They've convicted 10 people in 24 years. It's not a real court. It's a Zoom call with a bunch of UN aligned activists who don't understand what the definition of the word genocide is. So the fact that he thinks that he has that authority kind of is a prelude to how he would run if he were to ever be pinned into a corner. He would become authoritarian because he is an authoritarian. All right, so I just wanted to play that clip because we're going to talk a little bit more about this with Alex. But what I'm basically referring to is Mamdani came out and said that Bibi Netanyahu should be arrested because he's a war criminal, and then he found out that he doesn't actually have the authority of the International Criminal Court, which isn't even recognized by the United States of America. He's not an agent on their behalf. So when that got squashed, now he's coming out and he's saying, I think the bedrocks of our city is protest. He's saying that New Yorkers should take to the streets when Bibi Netanyahu visits for the UN General Assembly this September. Guys, how many of you think that that's going to be a peaceful protest? Does anybody think that the mayor of New York calling for, in a deep, deep, deep blue district, calling for his constituents to, quote, protest and, quote, take to the streets, how many of you think that is going to be peaceful? We saw the BLM riots of 2020, the mostly peaceful protests. I honestly don't. I didn't think he would go this far this fast. I thought it was going to be a slow drip, but like I was just saying on Sid and Friends, right? Like the with this quote democratic socialism, it's not democratic socialism, all right? It's an Islamo-Marxist, it's a jihadi Marxist red-green alliance type of movement, and it's growing really fast, and they're going so hard so fast that I'm like, wow, I really thought that this was going to be maybe something like over the course of 3 years or something like that. It's been less than a year, and they're already doing this. So I think that we should keep an eye on this because, and I don't want to like sound like I'm saying like, oh, speech laws. No. I mean, I think that public officials should be held to a different standard when they start calling for this type of stuff, right? Like where it's like, if this leads to a riot, he needs to go to jail. If it does, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But in September, if one person dies in a quote protest, he needs to go to jail. Period. It's exactly what they tried to lock up Trump for, and Trump said peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He did not say take to the streets. So we'll see. All right, I can hear Alex, so let's see if we can get him on, and we will go over this together. We're going to obviously talk about Patriot Pouch, but let's go and bring on our guest. All right, where are you? Where are you? There he is. Copy. Okie dokie. Oh yeah, I knew I was gonna have to put this thing in again. I need a producer. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. There he is. All right, Alex. It looks like our audio is working this time. So we had to issue. We tried to bring you on a while back. Yeah, we tried to bring you on a while back, and it was a little iffy. But okay, so I wanted to bring you on a long time ago because obviously you're a sponsor of the show, and you sent over these nicotine pouches, and I'm trying to quit the vape. I know I do a horrible job at it, but these Patriot pouches, right? I think when we originally started talking, I was like, okay, so Tucker Carlson had those Alps, right? And then he became woke, right? And then Zinn has their pouches and like they're woke left. And I was like, all right, you know what I got to look at this guy's page and see if he's woke right, because I'm not gonna promote anything from anybody like that. And you worked, so that was good. But then I'm doing these things for like 2 weeks, right? And I'm literally on the show finding out in real time while I'm reading an ad, they're not nicotine, right? So I was like, oh man, I'm so curious. So I intentionally never looked this up all the way up until now. I still have not looked it up about Nixidine, right? So let's put this on the screen. This is the Patriot Pouch website. This is what we do every week. Nixidine is a cleaner compound that binds to the same receptors as nicotine, delivering a better, cleaner effect. So after you get into this, I should have had you introduce yourself first, but let's just go over this real quick, and then we'll do it backwards. But
Right.
what is Nixidine, and what's how are these different from nicotine pouches?
Yeah, so Nixidine is essentially just a
Nixidine.
nicotine analog. So you can see the chemical structures very similar to nicotine. It just has an added analog to it, which on face value doesn't look like it would change much, but it changes everything. So it still binds to the same nicotinic receptors. So you're going to get that buzz you want. So my big thing was before, I mean, I dipped back in high school for years, switched the nicotine pouches, and then I wanted to find an alternative because I was having blood pressure issues with like heart rate spikes and everything attributed to nicotine. But all the alternatives back in the day were, caffeine pouches or grinds, which were just coffee
Mhm.
grinds, and it never felt like nicotine. Well, I did all this research. I found Nixidine, and at first I was skeptical, and everyone's like, "No, just try it out. Give it a little time. You're going to see it works just like nicotine." And I tried it. I was like, "Wow, I don't notice any difference other than my heart rate's not spiking. I'm not having the vasoconstriction like nicotine causes."
Mhm.
So I was like, this is great. I could get the feeling of nicotine and the benefits of it without the downsides of spiking my heart rate, spiking my blood pressure. So that's what really turned me on to it. And then come to find out, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, but the dependency I had on nicotine was almost, non-existent after solely switching to these pouches. It took about 3 days and I no longer had the cravings. Like I was popping out pouches every 20 minutes, it seemed like for a while. And after switching to this, I could go on and off this thing and have no withdrawal symptoms, anything. So
Mhm.
it's the perfect option if you just even want an alternative or you're looking to get off cigarettes or vapes or your traditional nicotine pouches. It's just a great alternative to switch to.
I did notice that because, like, when I was, like I said, I'm trying to get off this vape. I tried these. I think I was on them for like maybe a month solid, and now, but I don't feel like I'm addicted to these, right?
Right.
So now I just pop them in every once in a while. I actually pop them in whenever I'm going somewhere where I can't vape, and they're like a perfect like backup, and I can vouch it's just as strong, if not stronger, than the nicotine pouches. And I gave one of them to my neighbor, and he was like, "These are awesome." So I think he put in an order. But
Nice.
the the main question I have is, are they made in America?
That's the biggest thing. So, I was a fan of Tucker Carlson for a long time until he just became mentally ill, it
Yeah,
appears,
yeah.
and lost it. And even when he came out with his nicotine pouch, like, oh, this is great because I don't like Zen. I don't like how woke they are. And
Hmm.
then, you turn over the can and, Alp American Lip Pillow, but made in India.
Yeah.
Oh, very great American company you got there. So when I set out for this, I was like, you know what? I want something solely made in the USA. So I found it. Everything is entirely made in the USA from start to finish. So that's a huge, bonus piece of that.
It's so funny, that people like, I think Tucker Carlson even tries to say they're made in America, and, they're made in India, and, like, people don't know that.
Right.
Somebody in the chat, how much are they? So, you can get a, Sovereign sample 4-pack for 23.99. There's what, 20 pouches, I believe, in there? So,
Correct.
20 pouches, that's 80 pouches for 24 bucks. That is cheaper than you'll get at the gas station. The flavor's amazing. They're really, I would say, like, well, and then I think we got to bump up my discount code because I see 15% off here, and I think we're gonna have to raise mine. So, but you can use
Yeah. Let's.
you can
I'm gonna.
use
I'm gonna change that right now.
okay. So we're gonna use we'll do code what, Misfit, how much?
Let's go Misfit 15.
Okay. Well, changing the code, guys, it's going to be Misfit 15 for 15% off. And you can use that code on patriotpouchusa.com. Here, let's put that back up here for you. So if you guys want to try these out, go to patriotpouchusa.com and you can buy these right off the website. They ship right to your house. Let's see, we got We the People Wintergreen, Freedom Frost, Liberty Mint, and my favorite flavor is really my favorite flavor. It's Orange You Glad You're an American. So awesome. But yeah,
That's
you know,
right.
like again, like you know, I want to support American companies who are actually run by good American patriotic people. You know, so like Alp, I won't, you know, I won't lie. Alp's good. Like as far as the
Right.
actual product, but I
Yep.
don't support Tucker Carlson. I don't support products made in India. Who knows what's on those things? I mean, I don't know if they wash their hands over there. Um, and I just couldn't do it. And I also don't want to support Zyn. I think they're made in China or something or somewhere else. But
Yeah.
it,
And they're owned by Big Tobacco. They're
and
owned
they're
by
yeah.
Philip Morris now, and it's, you know,
Well, Dan Bongini used to talk about this, the parallel economy, the way that we beat the you know the woke system that's been sort of a cancer on our advertising on our society is by creating a parallel economy, and this is how you do that. So
right.
support patriotpouchusa.com. We will be changing the code to misfit15 at checkout, and that'll get you 15% off. Sweet. All
Yeah, and
right.
that code's live. I updated it in real time, so it's good to
That
go.
code's live right now. Let's go. All right. So, where was the? Let's see here. You are also pretty vocal about Islam. It's another thing I like about you. So you
Yes.
let's see here. We can find. I'm sure we can find one. Oh yeah, here we go. The conquest. Rob Schneider's hit or miss, man. I like him, but he's
I
also
know.
he's woke adjacent, and it's like or woke right adjacent. I saw a post. Islam is pure evil. Boom. Here you go. I think that I used to try to make a distinction between Islam and radical Islam, like, jihadism or Islamism versus Islam.
Right.
And like because I think that myself and many other people know Muslim people who are not bad people, right? This is not
Right.
I would never say that every single Muslim is a terrorist or every single Muslim is a bad person. Their ideology, however, right? Islam, you have to reject it in order to be a peaceful Muslim because in their religious doctrine, they're called to strike down infidels and they're I think it's something like 68% of Muslims support some form of Sharia law. It's a subjugative political
Right.
ideology. It's not a religion, in my opinion. I don't recognize it as a religion. I think that that's the best way to actually fix the Islam problem is for the U.S. to officially unrecognize Islam as a religion. Therefore, it's not protected under freedom of religion. But what is your
Right.
how by the way, again, hold on. Introduce yourself, Alex. Before I forget again. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us your how you got into this and what you do with Patriot Pouch, what you do on the side, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So, Alex Duncan, I was born and raised in California, unfortunately, but I served as a police officer in Southern California for 13 years. And I started learning about Islam because I worked in a city that had a decent Muslim population. But, back, this is now going on 15, 16 years ago, and they're sending me to these trainings on Islam. It was radicals, extreme, that it's a peaceful religion overall. And then, I went on to get my master's in international relations and I focused on Middle Eastern studies and Middle Eastern affairs. And I was like, well, now I'm reading the Quran, I'm reading the Hadiths, the Sunnah, and going through all this stuff. I'm like, well, this really isn't radical. These are just adherents to this ideology. Just
Okay.
like, like you said, not all Muslims are bad. It's just like Christians. You have secular Muslims, you have secular Christians
Hmm.
that don't adhere to it. And I never attack Muslims because, Muslims, they're a person.
I try not to, yeah.
We're all made in the image of God. We all have inherent worth. God wants to see us all be saved. It's this ideology that they've been infected by. That's the real problem. So I started digging into that and I got injured, had to medically retire from law enforcement. And I was like, get to Texas as fast as possible. I need to raise my kids in a good, God fearing state that values family, everything. So I moved out here and I was shocked to see what was going on with Islam here. I
I
said,
know.
wow, they're coming after Texas. And I started to get really involved. I do speaking engagements all the time now across Texas about this issue, but talking to the actual, people that have been in this world for a long time, the subject matter experts, and all of them agreed. They're like, yeah, Texas is the number one target of Islam because they know if they could take a red powerful state like Texas, America's done. America just falls with it.
It's
So
exactly
I
yeah.
think that's what's so important. We need to step up, get our voices out there, speak out on these things. And from a Christian perspective, we're not supposed to just roll over and submit to evil. We're supposed to
Mm-mm.
oppose this evil.
Mhm.
And we have not done a good job. I mean, we could go back and say the church is at fault for what culture's turned into, because for the longest time we just sat back and remained silent and let all this evil just run over us. So yeah, I mean, I truly believe Islam is the greatest threat to America, to the entire world. And
Mhm.
like you said, it is not a religion. It has religious components, but
Mhm.
overall, it's a political ideology. Ask any of them, what is peace in Islam? It is when Islam rules the world and subjects it to Sharia.
Mhm.
So it's like I always go back to, why are we allowing our enemy to just operate freely here? We don't let Russia and China come in here, build bases, and say, "Hey, do what you want." It's
Yeah.
the same exact thing.
Well, unfortunately, like we have in the past. I mean, like, and I think that it's a very close race. I think, but I would say China is the number one threat to America, but Islam is the number one threat to the world. So because what we're seeing, and I live in Texas too. I was going to vote in a special election. I don't know, like 6 months or so ago. I'm driving into the polling station, and I only see one person at the entrance, right, holding up a sign, Muslim, right, and they wanted their Muslim candidate. And
Mhm.
I thought to myself, I go, why isn't there a Christian standing right next to them? Why isn't there a veteran standing right next to them? Because there was
Right.
more people running in that race. They are so my point is they're organized and they want Texas because first of all, Texas is pretty much the like it's the it could be like the tipping point for either party, right? So like
Right.
if you have Texas, you can sort of win an election, right? Because I mean they already have
Right.
California. California's in the bag. They already have all the blue states, but Texas has oh shoot, how many seats do we have? Is it like in the 270? I think it's like 30 or something.
Right.
It's a big win if they can flip Texas. Then we have the Sharia cities and everything they're putting up because they get into politics at the local level. They do what we should be doing. They get in at the local
Exactly.
level. They get in at the bottom and they grow from the bottom up. And the problem with
Correct.
us is we start trying to do shit at the top down and it's the opposite. Why isn't Trump fixing everything? That's one guy in the executive branch. Why aren't you at your local teachers school board meeting? Why aren't you in your the district clerk's office? Why aren't you getting involved in your local judicial races? They do this from the bottom up. We should honestly take notes, right? And
Yes.
if we
You
don't
you I mean, you
good.
I was gonna say you nailed it. You nailed it. They are very smart, they're calculated, and they play the long game. This
Mhm.
isn't a quick, hit and run. No, they play the long game. They know exactly what they're doing. And the whole thing is like, do you have to fear terrorist attacks and stuff? I mean, we're going to have one-offs of those all the time. The entire world suffers from it because you do have these groups that want to go out and in that form of jihad warfare. But no, the long game here is they say it openly. It's the ballot, not bullets. They're going to
Mhm.
use our system against us until they're in power.
Mhm. Yeah, they weaponize our
And
go ahead.
you're exactly right when it comes to these local elections. Right. I was going to say, when it comes to these local elections, people want to complain all the time. Oh, Trump's not doing enough. The federal government, this and that. The federal government, you should be more worried about your local government, your state reps, because they are what influences your daily life.
Mhm.
They're what influences your property taxes. Uh, I mean, everything going on in your state. Yeah, the federal government puts regulations down, but most of the time, the states could override those because the state has a lot more power than people realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like they like all politics is local, but I mean, like I said, I think that what we're the only way to fix it, honestly, is to do exactly what they did and reverse it over time. Everyone wants a quick fix, but I do believe there would be one quick fix. But I mean, I honestly don't think it would happen, which is to ban Islam as a religion, and then that would be a very big risk because however many of them we already have in here, I think it's like similar to the Jewish population where it's like 2%, but it's 2% of billions instead of not billions, but I think that I think that we have hundreds of thousands of let's say Muslims in America, more than
Right.
that probably millions. And if 10, let's say 10% of them were radical, right? And I think that that's a reasonable, in fact, probably a low estimate of the average radicalized Muslim, because again, the more you adhere to Islam, to the Quran, to the religious teachings, the more radical you become. The more you adhere to the Bible, the less radical you become, actually, right? So there's that's the
Right.
difference between the two. If that was 10% of, let's say, I don't know, 4 million, 2 million, 3 million, we're looking at hundreds of thousands of terrorists that would uprise in
Right.
America at the drop of a hat if something were to happen. So they could activate if there was enough of them organized. They could activate based on like another 9/11 style attack if they wanted to do one big mass casualty event, and then everyone took to the streets at the same time. If they were organized like that, we'd have a big problem. So it's a huge threat to America, and
Yeah.
I think the more we talk about it, at least the more aware people are, then it would be a little bit helpful. But I think the best way to solve it, honestly, is to go local. I think that we just need to start recognizing that we need to be as involved as they are, and reject it. And we need to get more, like we need to get more boots on the ground, like organized, and we need to actually start caring about our country as much as they care about taking it over.
Right. I mean, the scary thing is, I don't know if you saw the last election cycle, CARE put up, I think it's around 76 candidates they put up, and 50% got into office.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
know.
that's scary. Where this political organization could put up 76 candidates and get 50% of them in.
Yeah, I
And the
mean,
funny thing is they're running as Democrats, and that's the comical part of this thing, because they oppose everything the left stands for, but they know the left is so stupid that they could manipulate them and get them to vote for them.
I
And that's who's putting them in office.
Well, I was just talking about that before you came on. I went on Sid Rosenberg and I was talking about how in this whole Mamdani situation, it's essentially he's like the embodiment of the Red Green Alliance, right? So the Islam uses useful idiots, right? Like
Yes.
socialists, because they've weaponized they've weaponized Western values against Westerners, right? Because we believe in free speech. So they go, okay,
Right.
if you're free speech, right, then you should be able to I should be able to say this. And if you say something towards me, then you're Islamophobic, and they definitely always go for the weaponization of your
Yep.
own ideology, of your own freedoms, right? They use your own freedoms against you. But then you have like we took a huge jump with Mamdani, right? Because Mamdani, he's not just an Islamist that's using the left. He's a leftist Islamist who's using both parties. So he's actually one of the more dangerous individuals. So he said in a
Right.
rap song that he wrote, I can't believe this. Send my love to the Holy Land Five. And that was a group of criminals that were convicted in 2008. And right after 9/11, they were providing material support to Hamas. $12 million they funneled to Hamas. And then CARE, like you just said, who's connected to the Muslim Brotherhood, who's designated terrorist organization, is running through these NGOs, all these DSA candidates, right? So
Hmm.
I think I have a clip of the, yeah, here it is.
My love to the Yamo Saharan. My love to the Holy Land Five. You better look 'em up.
So that's 2017. Mamdani is saying, "Give my love to the give my love to this a group of of terrorist collaborators." He's also got these pictures. He's all smiles when he wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he shows up to New York. But Siraj Wahaje, right? This is the guy who was a unindicted co-conspirator for the 1993 World Trade Center attacks.
Hmm.
We have this guy, Motsa Azaiza, who's, how they say that they're journalists, the Gazan
Right.
journalists, when they're really terrorists? This is the guy that praised Yahya Sinwar. He's a quote Palestinian journalist, which is essentially means he's a Hamas propagandist and terrorist. Smiles, 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 and then he also went to a mosque in New York and spoke at a prayer service, and then shortly after they started praying for the murder of infidels by sword. So
Amazing.
then you look at his face here, no smiles. No smiles. You know why? Because he's like talking about the Jews. He's like, "No, that's Netanyahu."
Well,
What do
I
you?
like you know that we had those two Jewish men stabbed the other day in New York by shocking, a Muslim, and he came out and tried to say he kind of stepped on his own foot with this one. He said that he's mentally ill. It's like, yeah, if you adhere to Islam, you are mentally ill.
Yeah,
You're correct.
yeah. He
First
told on
factual
yourself.
thing you said.
Well, what are your thoughts? What do you think? I have a maybe naively optimistic view on this whole Mamdani situation. I think it will maybe um, create some type of walk away movement because I think he's accelerating this far too fast, right? I think that what I was expecting was him to run very moderate under the radar for the first couple of years, and
Right.
he's not, right? He's not. He's going
Yeah.
full send. He's spending a ton of money to try to put lipstick on a pig. He's rearranging furniture on the Titanic. And I think that what I said before he even got elected, when he was running against Cuomo, I said maybe if he wins, it would be better because I think New York needs to hit bottom.
Right.
And I think that he's definitely getting them there faster. But I could be wrong. It could actually create some type of, I guess you could call it socialist, communist, Islamist movement that actually continues in America and spreads to other cities. So it's either going to be this fails miserably and other cities take notice, or he's able to pull the wool over their eyes long enough where it spreads big enough in the country where we have a big problem. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've kind of nailed it. It's like what direction we're going. We're seeing pushback against him right now, and that's great.
13
But
Democrats.
what we're seeing with just the state of America right now is you're even having, it's kind of dying off, but it's still there. Is this whole idea of Chrislam, where these Christians
Tucker.
are aligning themselves with Islam? They've turned so anti-Jewish. And
Yeah,
it's like, if we continue down that path, who knows where America is headed? Because that is a very dangerous path. If you think, if you want to, not side with the Jewish people and then align yourself with Islam, that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Well,
That's going to just,
yeah, I noticed these Christians, they don't they're not some don't go as far as Tucker, right? Tucker is literally like Tucker's like praising like Islam. He's praising Sharia. He's like, "Oh, I would never want to live in a place with Sharia law. That sounds awful." Like sarcastically, and it's like, "Bro." It's like
Yeah.
you're downplaying this this legal system, this religious legal system that subjugates women, that calls for the the killing of non-believers, right? They're a convert or kill death cult when they
Right.
become radicalized enough, and he's downplaying that. But I'm not. If you take him out of the equation, think about the other people: Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Kyle Seraphin, Joe Kent. All of these people, they don't talk about it too much, but they don't criticize it at all. They
Right.
ignore it. They only
Yeah.
focus on the Jews. So it's more about what they're not saying, right? And I think
Right.
that you have these conservatives, Christians, who probably don't realize why the Crusades happened, right? Like,
Right.
and don't really understand that the Crusades was based on the people before them who are acting like they are right now. Until
Right.
real Christians stood up and was like, "Listen, sorry guys, we're gonna have to go full send on this," and I don't want to see that happen. So I would think that the way that we try to prevent this is to keep shining a light on it. But if it gets to a point, then yeah, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have some
Right.
type of war.
And the sad thing is, like you just mentioned, all these people is they're not even knowledgeable in the Bible. They're not even knowledgeable in the Quran, but they want to speak with authority on these subjects. It's great. You could have an opinion and give your opinion, but when you start speaking like you're an authority figure in these subjects
Mhm.
and getting people to buy into whatever garbage you're selling them, that's when it becomes a problem. I have no problem with someone going up there saying, hey, you know what? I don't know too much about this stuff, but what I do know is this is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But when you're going to come in and act like you're a pastor and that you're some theologian and know this stuff, it's like, to take a back seat. You don't know your place.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Joel Webbin or something? He just like you
Yes.
got him and Alex Stein, and they're all doing, and some reverend, they're all doing these events. It's like, bro, this is the problem. I don't want to be associated with Christianity in that regard. So I think that
Right.
it could be a psychological operation where these people are either intentional or unintentional controlled opposition, like they're either aware of it or they're not aware of it, and they're just leaning into audience capture, and the powers that be are trying to feed that to them. But even
Right.
if they are aware of it, then that means that these people are not only not Christians, right? They're heretics.
Right.
They're going to use Christianity to try to destroy Christianity, right?
Yes.
Look, here's here's this. I mean, the woke left is definitely still in the lead as dumber than the woke right. This is in German, so you can't hear it, but I did confirm that this was an accurate translation. The Muslim that just ran over people and stabbed people at the Pride Parade in Berlin, one of these speakers at the LGBT event after, she said, I hoped my attacker was not an Arab or a Muslim, but a white Christian person. It's like,
Oh
and I
man.
mean, so this is the story. This is the story here. I mean, it's this this guy, this Lebanese ISIS terrorist. He plowed through a parade with a car. He killed one person. He got out of his car and started stabbing other people. And the people, they're more upset that he wasn't white than they are like, this is the we're in the idiocracy timeline right now. And
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, we could go down it's not the whole great replacement theory. It's a fact what they've done, and they still want to paint the white man out as the problem. It's like, look, there are much bigger problems than the white man going on right now. But
yeah,
yeah, sure, focus on white people as the problem for everything.
well, I mean, in majority white countries, and by the way, every race, every country has a past, and our ancestors were evil. Yeah, yeah, got it. But the only ones that have fixed the problem are white capitalist nations, right? The only ones that have
Right.
actually tried to reverse the 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 sins of the father have been predominantly white Christian capitalist societies, right? America,
Mhm.
Europe, Australia. Every other society that's if it has either Arab or African, or let's say like the even in parts of Asia, West Asia, and they all still do slavery. They all still do subjugation. They all still
Right.
do all of the things that they say that the white man is evil for in
Right.
2026. So I'm confused as to how we're the problem, because I think that it's the same tactic that they always use: accuse your enemy of what you yourself are doing. But I'm just confused at how people believe it, right? It's like, how are you buying this? It's like, you can Google's free. Google's free.
R
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, there
Well,
you
and
go.
then, the ones that are here in America that have immigrated or even come illegally over here, and they wanna complain about America, it's like you fled your third world cesspool, and now you wanna complain about your treatment here?
Yeah,
It's like, go back. I mean, I'm all for people that wanna come here legally because they know this is the greatest country in the world, that we have the most freedoms. We're not perfect, we never will be, but we are the closest thing to perfection this world has ever seen when it comes to allowing people to have freedoms, allowing them to do what they want and not be subject to persecution for their beliefs. And
mm,
you want to come here and complain? It just sickens me. It
yeah,
sickens me. It sickens me when illegals, especially those that are here illegally, are complaining about our system.
yeah.
It's like, do you know
Well,
what would happen if I went over to your country and tried to, run my mouth? I would be thrown in prison or killed. And guess what? I understand that. That's why I'm not doing it.
So I was talking to my liberal friend yesterday. It's funny, we were down at the pool, and I love her, but she's just super liberal. And I was just it was I wasn't talking about politics, but I was talking about how I ordered Uber Eats, and the guy didn't speak any English, and he got lost trying to get into the building, and like I couldn't communicate with him, and then I was like, I just think that they should have to speak English, and she's like, well, I don't think so, and I was like, no, I go, listen, I go, I'm not gonna say her name. I go, yeah. I go, if I moved to Italy and I wanted to get a job, I would expect them to expect me to speak Italian. I go, this isn't
Mhm.
racism. This is just, why are we allowing people to come into the country and not learn the language and not assimilate? And then like
Right.
I kind of got her to like sort of agree with me a little bit, even though she didn't want to. But I was like, it's not racism. She's like, yeah, but shouldn't we learn more languages? I'm like, no, because they're all coming here. I go, we're not
Right.
going there. She's like, some people do. I
Right.
go, not a lot. I go, not a lot. There's not a lot of expats from America. We don't have them because we are the greatest country in the world and people want to come here. So if you want to come here, you learn my language. If I want to go there, I learn your language. If you come here, learn the language, and we'll allow, if you come here, first of all, legally. I think there should be a 6 month review where you have to come back and do an oral exam on the English language. And if you fail, get on the boat.
Right.
Right? Like, see ya. I mean,
Right.
I think that that's the
And you
problem
know
that
what's
we're having is collectivism. The warm embrace of multiculturalism is not, because it's not a melting pot. It's not. It's not melting.
no, and I think, I mean, what's been the downfall of America is we don't really have a culture anymore. We
Mm.
used to have an identifiable American culture. The entire world knew it, and it was great. But now we've let so many different cultures come in here. And at the end of the day, culture is basically just an outward expression of religion. So you have all these different religions coming in, cultures from all across the world, and we're just letting them operate freely here. And it's like, hey, that's great. You have a culture. I don't want it here. If I want to experience your culture, I will go to your country and experience it
Yeah.
and see and enjoy it when I'm there. But I don't want it here. We need to have a united culture because guess what? That brings unity when you're united together and say, yeah, this is America. This is our culture. This is what we stand for. But we've lost our way when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, well, the culture of America was always just faith, family, freedom, and
Right.
that's been demonized by pretty much everybody that has come here to be part of the American experiment of faith, family, and freedom. They want no family. Like the left, and this is predominantly the left that's done this, right? They've been like, you shouldn't, they tell women, you shouldn't, get married and have kids, and then they tell people that you shouldn't have faith and that we need separation of church and state, and it's like, no, 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 no.
Right.
I was like, we are a Christian nation, right, based on Judeo-Christian ethics and Western values. I've said this 1,000
Right.
times. That doesn't mean Jew, it means Judeo-Christian, Old Testament, New Testament. Our Constitution
Right.
and our Declaration of Independence are very heavily influenced by the Bible, both, right? Old, New Testament. When you open up your Bible,
Correct.
there's the first part, which is actually bigger than the second part. That's the Old Testament. That's what the Jews read. And then you got the Jesus part, which is like 35% of the ending. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But we can say,
Yeah.
if
And,
that,
and people,
good.
I was going to say, and people forget that was written by who? Jews.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, it's like they have no problem with the fact that the countries that people are fleeing are religious nations, right? There's Islamic
Right.
nations. They are literally perfectly fine with a religious nation being like categorized as a religious nation and bringing that religion to here, but they don't want us to have our religion. That's the weird
Right.
thing. And I just think that we can fix this with a few different things. I know it's going to take a long time, but we really just need to start defining what America is, right? We just need to start
Right.
defining it and standing by it, and that's what Trump does better than anybody. It's why they hate him so much. He says Christian nation. He puts in Pete Hegseth. He says this, that, and the other, and he doesn't ask for their like he doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't ask
Right.
for the people's opinion because he understands what America is. He obviously asks, or at least He's open to changing certain policies that he has based on how the voters feel. But as far as the big what we are a Christian nation. We are the world's leader. We are a strong nation. We are a military superpower. We are supposed to be. We are an exporter of trade. We should be the number one big swinging. Like we should be. He understands that.
Right.
Whereas other leaders over the past few decades, it feels like they've just apologized to the world for how great we are.
Yeah, and that's sure shot ourselves in the foot now, because now all these other countries think they could run all over us.
Exactly.
Oh, look, they've, white guilt, Christian guilt, we could get one over on them now. And that's what we're seeing by all these people until Trump came in and kind of put a stop to that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you're not going to walk all over us anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I like what you said. We are a Christian nation, and I can't stand when people say, no, we're not. It's like, well,
We are.
let's see. Why did we flee Europe and England? Oh, because we didn't want their state imposed religion. We said we
Yeah.
want to open it up to Christian denominations to practice their denomination freely, and go back to the 13 original colonies.
11
all
of
had
them.
declarations of faith.
11 of
All
them,
of them.
11 out of 13 had Christian declarations of faith in their constitution. I didn't realize that we just blew through that. It's 8:58, so I'm gonna get you out of here. In fact, you can stick around for the Maha Minute, but just a quick reminder, guys. Alex Duncan TX on X. He is the CEO of Patriot Pouch. And Alex, every Monday from Maha Monday, we go through the Maha Minute. So here it is from, shoot, I can never remember her name. All right, here it is.
Orange juice is making headlines this week. Yeah, we have a lot to get to. I'm Caitlin Sinclair. Welcome back to your Maha Minute. First up, your orange juice is getting a makeover. Even your morning OJ was getting crushed by government red tape, and Secretary Kennedy said no more. He just announced an update to his 63-year-old regulation governing pasteurized orange juice that he says was hurting American citrus growers.
That's how we grow our economy. That's how we support our farmers and U.S. businesses. And that's how we give Americans access to real food that they can trust.
And next up, mercury is getting kicked out of the dentist's office. That's right. Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz are now pushing states to phase out coverage for any mercury-containing dental fillings and move towards better alternatives. And finally, Dr. Anthony Fauci is in the hot seat.
He will be brought in, not voluntarily. He will be brought in under subpoena.
Dr. Fauci will finally be questioned next week under oath, where he will have to answer about issues including gain-of-function research, finally giving those long-awaited answers to the American people. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week.
All right, there's Caitlin Sinclair, Alex Duncan, great guest. Sean Farish is coming up next. Alex, say goodbye to everybody, and we will keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. God bless everyone.
All right, boys and girls. Rosebud, Family Low, Dave for Real, T. Hodges, One Sandman, Moose for Trump, United since 1776. What is a Fen map? I have no idea. Just followed Alex on X. Nice. All right. Yeah, no, that was a great interview. Somebody said in the chat. Appreciate him coming on. We'll bring him back for sure. All right, there it is. 9 a.m. Central. Sean Farish. I think Sean Farish is coming up next, but it might be pre-recorded because I think I saw him say he was on Bongino. But tune in to whoever's next, and I will see you tomorrow for TDS Tuesday.